Okie dokie. Gave a little thought of what to do. And I don't want to build all these out. I'm going to build them out as I need them. So at some point, I'm going to be like, oh, I need rotors. And I'll go ahead and build those out. I'm not going to go through every resource, build them out, and store them in a chest right now. It's not what I want to do. And I can do whatever I want. I do officially, technically hate this now, though. Even though I'm not even convinced I like or need these. So what do I want to do for this trip today? A couple ideas. I'm going to add them to the list. Quartz. That feels like an obvious one. Let our milestone drive pick a milestone. We could do something like, oops. I swear, there's just no button to open up notes. I could do turbo fuel. Really, it's just moving it, which is kind of interesting. So those are just ideas. While I'm here, I want to clean this up. Just looks a little too goofy. With the small pillars. At some point I will fix that. I guess I could just do that, because I know it goes there. We'll see. Yep. Okay. 2 more. As you can tell, I'm in kind of a chill mode. I think that is a great aspect to this game, which is there's a lot to do, but it's also just a great environment to be in. It's got Factorio vibes, and it's also got Bob Ross vibes. We can just build some happy little columns. When we feel like it. One thing I was thinking about is trains. Okay, yeah, those are going to come in all along there, so I'm glad I cleaned that up. So the quartz would be a new train. One thing I'm thinking, you know what we could do is we go play with our train set and play around with a double train system. There's probably a better place to do this than this little tiny bowl where I don't have a ton of room to maneuver and play around, but we'll see. So, oops, don't care about that. Get rid of these trains. That's fine. Do I have any exploders left? Can I explode that? Yeah. I need to get rid of some of these. I just know they're going to be in my way. Okay, whatever, good enough. Maybe I should copy this and just stick it right there. So I have flight coverage for my bopping around. Okay. So, what do we want? Do I even have enough room to do this? Yeah, I could do it here. What I want to do is create a shared rail and play around with them switching on and off the shared rail. Yeah, I think something like this is right. And then what I'm going to do is have like this one. And then this one. Now, let's say this one goes there. And this one I thought I could clip in. That's not enough shared track. I want enough shared track to mess with the signals. Does it need... Signal cannot be placed at the end of a track. Okay, that's how you flip sides. Looks like it wants to connect. Okay. What if... Let's test this first. Okay. You are train 1. Why is my map just out in the middle of nowhere? Okay, that's Falloon, and I'm at Lund. So let's go to Falloon and then back to Lund. Signaling problem. Probably because, oh, those are like off the ground. Probably because I need to signal back. Okay, something just turned yellow. Block has no exit signal. Ah, so these don't really work. Well, if it's circular, then... Okay, well, if that's how we have to figure it out, that's fine. We will test a circular configuration to start. I can just get rid of all of it. Okay. So all trains will come in here. This train will come in from well, maybe we try just one train right now. Let's just complete the track. See what the signal does with just one train. Right? You should just drive in a circle. Path block cannot create station or cannot contain stations. What does this one complain about? Waiting for path reservation. How does a path block not contain a station? Signal loops onto itself. This is all sounding like I need a loop. Up here. Maybe something like that. Without adding anything extra. What is this train going to do when it comes up to this train? It's just going to smack it? No, it'll stop. Probably complain. Okay. Goes left. It's not actually switching automatically. Is that what the path signal is for? Yes. No. How does it loop onto itself? What is that sign? Is it for trains going different directions? Do they need to be on opposite sides of these? How's next stop unreachable? Okay. Do I need to add a second stop? Or like a directional station. So I have a station that goes one way, and another one that goes that way. I don't know what any of these stations are called. He wants to go to Balti Jam. And back to Hamburg. That's what he wants to do. And then this guy is going to start here. And he's going to go to Göteborg and then Gare. Saying right. This one says right as well. What does that one say? It says right. It does not switch, and they are about to collide. Okay, so damn it, I'm gonna have to watch a YouTube video on this. Waiting for path reservation. And this one is just like, nah. And now it's mad. It's because they need to be on the same side. This one might be associated with the wrong path. So, is it this? Something like that. We got yellows. Let me read them. Paths are advanced signals that are especially used for bidirectional railways in complex intersections. They function similarly to block signals, but rather than occupying the entire block, trains can reserve a specific path through it. Maybe I should be messing with blocks first. Directs the movement of trains to avoid collisions, bottlenecks. Block signals can be placed on railways to create blocks between them. When a train is occupying one of these blocks, other trains will be unable to enter it. Right, so those should be like... signal loops onto itself. Block has no exit. What's the difference between the sides? I feel like... Getting real close to looking this up. Signals are directional. Trains are unable to move against this direction. So be sure to set signals in both directions for bidirectional railways. So what that says to me is I should be able to block this inside route if somebody's already using it. So yeah, going this way. Right? Does that make sense? Or... look, it's always... no, if it's on this side, it's pointing in. Okay. Maybe this section is just too weird. Can I get tighter? With one of the loops. As tight as I can. I don't think you can get much tighter than that. And then I want to do like a Hmm. Can't even do what I want in such a small space. All right. I might have to watch a video. All right, hold on, let me pull up a video first. I've found this guy to be
Today we're going to be
useful.
breaking down everything that you need to know to get started with trains in Satisfactory. We're going to be starting off with simple push-pull train setups, as well as multiple lane lines and signalling. If there is anything though that you feel that I have missed out, please do let me know in the comments below and I'll endeavour to cover that in one of the following videos. Now the next video that we're going to be doing following this will be one that covers junctions, train spirals, and using blueprints to set up train lines. And then following that, we will have a advanced train functions guide, such as dropping only 1 or 2 stacks of items off along a multiple station setup, and how to make use of multiple trains when transporting high throughput items, so resource produce.
Did you say dropping off 1 or 2 items? That must be some advanced trains pieces. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Also, I don't know if this is frowned upon. I'm making a video, someone else's video. If so, I'll edit this out.
Don't freeze up. As this guide will be in depth, do check out the timestamps below, as you may find some sections cover things you already know. So in this video we will be covering unlocking trains, better railway placement, resource transportation,
I feel like I know the basics, so we're going to move to track placement.
Transportation. I do want to briefly cover the placing of tracks. Now, track placement has been made a lot easier over the years, but it can still be a little bit finicky. So to place a railway line, grab the rail, click once to set the start point of the line, and then click a second time at the end point. Now, train lines have a maximum length, so you will likely have to place the rail in several sections. You can place the lines directly across terrain, but with the changes in height, I find it much easier to build a network on foundations. It's also easier to make clean curves, and personally I think it looks a lot cleaner as well. Now, to place a railway in a straight line, you'll want to hold Control whilst placing the line to snap it into a straight mode.
Okay, we know all this. Let's move forward.
3x3 grid, and it really is easy to do. Just make sure that you place the straight sections first and then connect it up. Now that we know how to do curves, let's also talk ramps, as people often struggle with cleanly leveling off train lines. Now, a train line can travel up or down a 2-meter ramp. However, it is possible to go slightly steeper by using a 2-meter ramp followed by a 4-meter ramp, and this creates a wobbly line if you place them directly onto a 2-meter and 4-meter. However, there is a solution to this. If you
I don't care about that.
sources, you'll need freight carts. These can be snapped to the locomotive, placing it on the track, and depending on what station the freight carts stops at, dictates whether they're liquid freights or solid freights. Now, in order for a station to load a train, you'll need to click on the individual freight stations and select load or unload, dictating the flow of products. When it comes to trains, a single locomotive can run 4 freight carts without it affecting the speed of the train. However, above this ratio, the train will take longer to speed up and slow down, which will affect the throughput of resources. To counter this, you can add extra locomotives, or you can just run more shorter trains. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that if you have more trains, you will need more block signals, which we're going to cover shortly. So now that we know how to use a freight train, when should we use them? Now, personally, I use them whenever I can because trains are cool. They look cool. They give a liveliness to your world. But generally speaking, the longer the distance, the more efficient they are at transporting goods. This is because it's easier to add more trains to a line when you need them, if they're running across the world, for example, rather than upgrading individually all of the conveyor lines. And then in comparison to vehicles, they rarely bug out. That is why I choose them in general for everything. Now, in some circumstances, you may want to pick up or drop off resources between multiple stations along a given route. For example, here we want the blue station to pick up the plastic from the train and the orange station to pick up the packaged fuel. In order to do this, we place an empty platform in the place where the freight cart is holding
we
the
know
fuel
this.
canisters on the plastic stations. And we place empty platforms for the plastic where we are dropping off the fuel canisters. Now, you can use the advanced functions in order to do this, which we'll cover in a later video, so that you don't need to use empty platforms. But for the sake of ease, this is the most basic and simple solution that works every time. Now that we've covered the functions for using trains, let's look at train route priority. Now, if you have a route where a train can take multiple routes between 2 stations, the train will always choose the most direct route that doesn't pass through another station. However, if there is a considerable difference between a path that doesn't pass through a station and a path that is shorter that does route through the station, then the trains will pass through the station in that circumstance.
Makes
so
sense.
A little something to bear in mind. And this is just to clarify, to do with the path distance, not the amount of signal blocks that are available on a given route, nor does a pathing signal dictate different routes for a train if one of the lanes is blocked. But don't worry, I will cover how to use those signals shortly. But first, we need to understand the different types of train circuit. In general, there are 3 types of circuit that you can use. A basic circuit, as you can see here, is linear, and in this all the trains will flow in the same direction. Here, for example, our trains are flowing in a clockwise manner around the circuit. There are no crossing tracks, and some of these tracks may split or merge, but they all flow in the same direction. It is the same as all other circuits that I've shown in my examples so far, and this is done by ensuring each train station is placed facing the same direction as the flow of the trains. We then have the second type, which is the push-pull system. This setup is done by placing 2 stations facing opposite directions, along with 2 locomotives each facing the opposite direction as well. This is because the locomotive's direction has to flow with the direction of the train station. With this system, you can add more stations along the line, as long as the end stations are facing the opposite direction and the middle stations are flowing in the same direction as the locomotive between 2 stops in the train schedule. For example, this train can travel from station 1
Yep, that's what we're doing right now.
2 to station 3 and then back to station 1, and then it can continue the circuit because the train is traveling in the same direction as the next station. However, if you put the train station schedule to travel from station 1 to station 3 and then back to station 2, the train will get stuck at station 3 as it can't path into the second station, as the outbound train, the blue one, is facing the opposite direction as the middle station. And then we have the third circuit type, which is essentially 2 basic circuits which are placed alongside one another, running in different directions. This system allows for bidirectional travel by linking the 2 lines together, giving trains a lot more freedom. However, because there are multiple trains on a given circuit, this does mean that junctions can seize up when waiting for trains to pass through, but this can be alleviated by improving train junction design and better signalling, which will be coming up in the next train video soon. Speaking on
that's not covered in this one?
Let's talk about how to use signals and common signal problems. Now, a train, as you've seen, can run on a circuit without using signals. However, if there is more than one train on a circuit, you run the risk of them colliding, as they will only stop when they reach a train station. Now, a collision is pretty simple to fix. You just press E when you're looking at the track where the crash was, and the train will be placed back onto the track. And from there, you can jump into the train and turn on the automation again. But there's no point transporting resources by train if the trains aren't running. This is where signals come in. The block signal is used to break a circuit into multiple blocks and sense if a train is in a given block. If there is a train in the block signal will turn red, stopping other trains from entering that block until it is empty again, stopping those pesky collisions. Now, we can place these block signals on any connecting segment of the track, or we can also create new segments by free placing the signal along the rail if the rail piece is long enough. And whilst you're placing these, if you want to change the direction of the block signal, you just need to use the mouse wheel, although sometimes you may have to just look at the other side of the track. Sometimes it bugs out a little bit. To see the blocks that you have on your circuit, just grab a signal, and then each block will be colored differently to the blocks next to it. In general, the more blocks a circuit...
Okay, time out. Should we not have seen this then? Even if in the most simple example. Okay. If I have 2 trains going the same direction, how is that different than what he just showed? Other than this. Am I crazy?
track it has, the more trains can run in that particular.
Does he have blocks? Does he have blocks? Like here. Oh. Look at that. Why did the color not... Oh, the color is slightly different. So what does this mean? Is it this way? Yes. So if a train enters here... Yeah, so this will prevent... So let's do this. What do we got? Hamburg and Baltijam. It's blocked. And now it's unblocked. Okay, that's simple. How did I not get there before? Because couldn't I just have this... couldn't I just have this, like... Oh, I gotta look at the arrow and the direction. The arrow and the side. Or maybe just the arrow matters, but... Okay. Maybe that was my problem all along, not paying attention to the arrows. Nope. Waiting for... Okay. Versus if I had a train trying to do this. Just gonna leave that there for now. That's a path signal. Is that not also a path signal? Path block cannot contain stations. Okay, let's keep watching.
Circuit. Just remember, you'll need at least one extra block in a circuit to the number of trains you have, so that a train can travel into a free block to keep the flow of traffic. It's also important to note that if you have long trains that span multiple blocks, both blocks will be marked as filled until the train passes through. Another important aspect of signals is that they control the direction of travel, and this is denoted by the arrow facing the direction of the block signal. Now, a train will only pass by a block signal if it is on the right-hand side of the train, or if you have a block which is dedicated to two-way travel, which can be done by placing two block signals both facing opposite directions. It's important to note that the only signals you need to use for a working line are the block signals, as I'll show alongside some examples now. Now in this setup, we have multiple block signals splitting the train line into 7 blocks. The trains are travelling around the circuit in a clockwise direction and only moving to the next block if the path is free, which we can show by placing a locomotive on this block here. Notice how the trains are now queuing, waiting for the locomotive to leave. If this happens, you will eventually get a warning flag up on your compass stating that trains are being held for an unusual amount of time. So just make sure you haven't left the train on the line causing that issue. Now in our push-pull setup, we can also use block signals, but this isn't necessary unless you're adding more trains to the line via a passing line. For this, we need to ensure that block signals are only placed along the passing line segment to ensure trains don't get locked into the stations. In this particular system, we have 4 blocks, allowing 3 trains to run along this push-pull system without stopping. However, if we're to split this into...
We need to test that. Okay, how do we do that? Well, we don't need any of this. And this is facing the wrong way. Okay. Okay, we're kind of back to where we started, but that's fine. So I want a block signal there and a block signal there. Does this mean, would this work? I don't know. Crystal ham and Homburg or whatever. So that should mean if I place a train in this middle track, will it, on the way back, use the alternative track? So it should be blocked. Yes, it is blocked. Yes, okay, it'll automatically select path. The pathing thing is not to select the path. And you don't need to start it right at the start. You just need to, once this section is blocked, when it calculates the path to that station, it says, hey, a big chunk of this is blocked, therefore go the other way. I think this is all I need. Oh. Maybe not. Oh, I would have to add blocks the other way, since it's bidirectional. Now it'll work both directions. Right, it should be blocked everywhere. Yep. This we know. This it did last time. Oh, no, it's still failing. Okay, is it because I need 2 trains? Because it's bidirectional, and therefore it doesn't think it's fully blocked. Yeah. Nope. Why did it work that one time? It worked this way, right? Yep, so that worked. But it's not going to work the other way. Maybe it's because it's not enough runway. Okay. That's fine. If that's the case, we can fix that. Just move this further. How am I missing materials? I must have just dropped. Did I not just drop materials I needed? Doesn't appear so. I need plastic. Oh, I've been pulling them from my dimensional chest, which shouldn't have been a big deal, but that's fine. Plastic's right here. Plastic would be a good one to... maybe. Okay, so what are we doing? Yeah, that's right. We want more of a run. For this. What's that called now? Borlange. Okay. Okay. So it only blocks one way. I'm guessing, I don't know, because that switch, so that works. How does it work on the way back? It should not work on the way back. In my estimation, it should not work on the way back. Because these are facing the wrong direction. Yep. There we go. Okay. Actually, no, they weren't facing the wrong direction. Maybe it's over here now. It doesn't have a chance to pick a new path. Because of how long it is. So, what if we... try to shorten it up? No, I would just need to move Hamburg. Zvold. I think that was the problem. It didn't have enough runway, and the other cart was already kind of hitting. It shouldn't matter what direction this train is facing. It should not hit this path. So it says right at the moment. Shoot. Why does it work one way and not the other way? Third thing, it's locked. Oh, I don't know, man. It should come to this and make a decision. It's gonna stop right here. Okay. Let's look at the path signals. path approved. Dude. That's very frustrating.
To multiple passing line sections with the trains merging along one line, we will need pathing signals, otherwise the trains will lock themselves.
Oh,
This is one of two uses
let's
for
back
the
up.
push-pull setup. We can also use block signals, but this isn't necessary unless you're adding more trains to the line via a passing line. For this, we need to ensure that block signals are only placed along the passing line segment to ensure trains don't get locked into the stations. In this particular system, we have 4 blocks, allowing 3 trains to run along this push-pull system without stopping. However, if we're to split this into multiple passing line sections with the trains merging along one line, we will need pathing signals, otherwise the trains will lock themselves.
Okay, let's test something. What did I want to test? Oh yeah, if this will choose a different path just because there's a train there. Answer is no. Oh, I've been thinking about it backwards. Let me leave this here. See what it does. That was flowing this way. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. I don't see why the direction the train is facing would make a difference. But right now it's working this way, even though the arrow's pointing that way. So if I switch these, this means it won't work this way, but it'll work on the way back. You can already tell by its speed it's going to work. See how pathing signals work.
This is
See if it
one
clarifies.
of two uses for the pathing signals. And to use pathing signals, you need to understand one important rule. You place a pathing signal on all entrances to a junction, and you need a block signal on all exits of a particular junction. Doing so creates what we will call in this circumstance a pathed block. Now, a pathed block only allows a train to enter the pathed block if the...
Okay. So that means path signal here. Wait a second. Entrance. Exit. On the way back, you should reserve the path and take that. And on the way back, you should take this. This is what I want for this setup. Okay. I guess just screw me, right? It's like these arrows are backwards to what I think they should be. Yeah, because it thinks this is the exit. Oh. Well. Maybe it's because I need both ready to go. Do I already have this? You guys, I feel dumb.
block in front of that.
I don't even need that complexity because
if this happens, you will eventually get a warning flag up on your compass stating that trains are being held for an unusual amount of time. So just make sure you haven't left a train on the line causing that.
He shows a push-pull system right here with blocks and a bypass.
But this isn't necessary unless you're adding more trains to the line via a passing line. For this, we need to ensure that block signals are only placed along the passing line segment to ensure trains don't get locked into the stations. In this particular system, we have 4 blocks, allowing 3 trains to run along this push-pull system without stopping. However, if we're to split this into multiple passing line sections with the trains merging along one line, we will need pathing signals, otherwise the trains will lock themselves.
Oh, you know what it is? It's a one-way.
This is one of 2 uses.
The reason his is working is because it's a one-way. So if I say that yeah, and that we've already demonstrated that working. Right? We know for a fact he'll go this way. And then when he comes back, if I remove this train, he'll go this way. Okay, it's showing green. Why do I feel like it has something to do with having this here? Nope. Okay, I thought I was creating a second one. I did. Not create anything. That's yellow. Block has no exit signal. Block clear. Does the order of placing matter? Signal loops. Blocks look like they create a one-way. But how is that possible when he's clearly showing a two-way here?
This we need to ensure you will be on the so use block to the line.
He has 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're on opposite sides. So the passing block, they're on the outside and on the... So it's like this. And then on the other block, they're on the outside. Look at that. Oh, two directional. That's in, that's out. Yeah. But what if I do this? If I do this, it's not going to work for him coming back. He's going to wait. I think. Yeah. Same with if I did locomotive here, he'll wait. And there you go. Okay, so when I set up any of these signals,
via a passing line. For this, we need to ensure that block signals are only placed along the passing line segment to ensure trains don't get locked into
the bottom
stations.
trains go
In this
to the
particular
right,
system,
top
we
trains
have
go to the
4
left.
blocks, allowing 3 trains to run along this push-pull system without stopping. However, if we're to split this into multiple passing line sections with the trains merging along one line, we will need pathing signals, otherwise the trains will lock themselves. This is one of 2 uses for the pathing signals. And to use pathing signals, you need to understand one important rule. You place a pathing signal on all entrances to a junction, and you need a block signal on all exits of a particular junction. Doing so creates what we will call in this circumstance a pathed block. Now, a pathed block only allows a train to enter the pathed block if the block in front of that is available for a train to path through.
think we know what's going on with these, right? They're creating a static direction for a bypass. Now for these, he set them up well. This is weird because it's technically that's not gonna work.
In short, trains can only enter a path to block if they can leave it. So, in this circumstance, we would replace the block signals entering the junction with a path signal. And if not all entrances are pathed and exits blocked, you will have an error that shows up on the signals, and you can actually click the signal to see the error block has conflicting entry signal types, as you can see here. We can also add a block signal leading into the station and a pathing signal leaving. This creates another junction, so we will also need to change the other signals accordingly so that you're pathing into the junction and blocking out.
Okay. Pathing into the junction. And blocking out of the junction. Blocking into the junction. Or I'm sorry, blocking into the station, pathing out of the station. And then right, pathing out, pathing into the junction, blocking out of the junction, pathing into the junction, blocking out of the junction. Oh, I'm sorry, I've left this.
Now, in some circumstances, like in my oil facility in my Let's Play, I need to ensure no trains enter my facility if another train is returning. And so for this, I've had to chain my pathing signals together. This is done by placing a pathing signal in front of another pathing signal, and will only allow trains to enter that pathing segment if the end block of the whole chain is free. Now, the final use of the pathing signal is to allow multiple trains to path through a pathed junction at once, providing their paths do not cross. I feel that's a lot of pathing in a single sentence. But anyway, you can take this here for an example.
Okay, so last bit here, and then we're going to call it. The pathing says allow it to continue as long as the entire path is good until it hits a block. So what do I have here? Path. This path says, yep, use it as long as this is good to that block. And then what does it do? It hits another block for some reason. And then this path says, yep, continue down this path as long as you're good until you hit another block. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I might have to do some reading instead of watching a video. The video's not really clicking for me. That'll be all for now. This is Let's Talk Trains. Thanks.